Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Carl Jung and welcome to my psychology vlog. I'm here today with Jung and Kohlberg, another psychologist, one of my favorite vloggers. We're here today to talk about some of our theories and some interesting accusations that we've heard recently.
So why did you stop talking to Sigmund Freud?
So as a lot of you guys have heard, Sigmund Freud and I have stopped talking recently, and this is because of our differing theories about libido and religion. He maintains that libido is a sexual energy, whereas for me, I feel like a lot of different aspects of my personality aren't at all affected by my sexuality. I mean, I still think that Freud is a great guy. Like, I hope he continues to pursue his work. We're both members of the International Psychoanalyst Committee, but we're not going to be collabing anymore because of these big fights that have been happening between us. And like, that's totally fine. Like, I understand. So today's guest is one of my favorite psychologists, Jung and Kohlberg. As I said, Lawrence, say hey. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey guys, what's up? I'm Jung and Kohlberg and I'm a psychologist.
So, Kohlberg, what can you tell us about your recent research in childhood moral development?
Well, through my research, I determined that morality is primarily dealt with justice and continues to develop throughout a person's lifetime. To find this research, I would typically ask my subjects their opinions on stories such as the Heinz story. A woman was near death. There was one drug that the doctors thought might save her. It was a form of radium that a druggist in the same town had recently discovered. The drug was expensive to make, but the druggist was charging 10 times what the drug cost to produce. He paid $200 for the radium and then charged $2,000 for a small dose of the drug. The sick woman's husband, Heinz, went to everyone he knew to borrow the money, but he could only get together about $1,000, which is only half of what it cost. He told the druggist that his wife was dying and asked him to sell it cheaper or to let him pay later. But the druggist said, "No, I discovered the drug and I'm going to make money from it." So Heinz got desperate and broke into the man's laboratory to steal the drug for his wife. Should Heinz have broken into the laboratory to steal the drug for his wife? Why or why not?
So, your research on moral development seems kind of similar to other psychologists in the field. Have there been any primary, specific psychologists who have influenced you greatly?
So, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him, but John Piaget's work on morality really struck me and definitely made an impact with my scientific research and my theories. His work and theories on moralities and their different stages is what really made the big impact on my work.
Why is Piaget the one who influenced you? Like, was there some aspect of his work that you wanted to expand on?
I wanted to expand on the childhood part of his research and focus more on morality instead of just his cognitive development theories.
Okay, so kind of similar to Piaget's stages, are there stages of your theory?
There's the pre-conventional stage, which is typically when a child is young, so they get rewarded for good behavior or doing something right and punished for doing something wrong or bad. And then there's the conventional stage, which is typically when a child is in his teenage years, and this is going to focus more on them developing their own sense of morality with the law and what they think is just and right. And then the post-conventional morality is going to be when a child is completely developed into an adult, and this is going to be their thoughts on the human rights and how they believe that things are right and wrong in the world.
I have one more question for you, though. There's been a lot of talk about bias in your research, who you use for your experiments. Is there anything you'd like to say to that?
Well, since we all know that rich white males' opinions are the most important, I figured that my scientific research would be most influential if it was used only with those test subjects.
Neat stuff. Thank you, Jung and Kohlberg. Make sure you check out his channel. Super great stuff. All right, thank you, Lawrence.
Thank you.
So I got a really good question from one of my viewers. She asked, what shapes us as people? As you guys know, one of the big ideas that I like to share on this channel is that while our childhoods and our pasts might determine our future behavior, we're really more so shaped by our future aspirations. What we want to do is who we really are. You could be told your whole childhood that you're going to be a doctor, but if you really want to be a dancer, then that's what you're going to put your energy into, and that's really who you're going to try to be. So that kind of ties into some of my major theories, which is definitely one of the things that you guys have been commenting on a lot. When can I share my major theories? Okay, so let's delve a little bit into my theories on libido, the unconscious, and psychological types. First, let's talk about libido. As I stated earlier, this is a hot topic between Freud and I. To me, libido is not just a sexual energy. It's more of a generalized psychic energy. We use libido to motivate ourselves spiritually, intellectually, creatively, to seek pleasure, to reduce conflict. Libido is really a driving factor in all of our decision making. I'm also really into the idea of the unconscious. So as I've explained in past videos, our psyches are made up of separate but interacting systems. The ego, your conscious mind, the personal unconscious, which contains forgotten information, repressed memories, and complexes. And finally, the collective or transpersonal unconscious, which is comprised of any latent memories from our ancestral and evolutionary past. Let's remember that in the personal unconscious, complexes are collections of thoughts, feelings, repressions about any one subject. They focus on a single concept. Now, the more elements that are attached to a complex, the greater the influence the complex has on you. I did a little bit of research into complexes in my word association experiment, where I hooked up subjects to a psychogalvanometer, which would show the complex-related resistance when subjects were read a list of spoken words. So the main thing to remember is that complexes are lots of feelings about one thing, and it's something that you repress and you aren't really aware of. As for the transpersonal unconscious, this has more to do with our ancestral survival mechanisms. The human mind has innate characteristics imprinted on it as a result of evolution. This includes things like a fear of spiders, snakes, the dark, etc. Next, let's move on to archetypes. These also emerged as shared characteristics between humans. The first of the 4 main archetypes is one of my favorites. It's called the persona. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of hard to focus right now. So the persona is our conformity archetype. It's going to be the outward face that we put on in front of others. It's kind of how we represent ourselves and also how we conceal ourselves. This is really going to give you whatever kind of look you're going for. It's really versatile and it's up to you. Next is the anima or animus. And this is going to be the mirror image of our biological selves, our unconscious feminine or masculine tendencies. And this is going to be something you use more as you age and you become more confident in your gender and who you are. After that, we have another favorite of mine, the shadow. Now, this is going to bring out more of your animal side. It's pretty much your source of creative or destructive tendencies, depending on how you want to apply it. Finally, we have what I consider to be pretty much the ultimate aim in life, the final product that we're going to apply, and that's the self. The self really is just your whole sense of unity and how satisfied you are with your life. I say that it's the ultimate aim because it's going to be used at the end of your routine, maybe when you're older. It's really kind of like the final stage. All right, now let's move on to psychological types. So there are 2 basic differing attitudes towards life, extroverted and introverted. An extroverted person has outward flowing libido, and their strengths include being outwardly motivated, being sociable and comfortable in unfamiliar places, and tending to be optimistic towards group interactions. However, extroverts often depend on making a good impression on others, and they might lack some sort of self-criticism. On the other end of the spectrum is an introvert. Now, the introvert is going to have inward flowing libido, and they're going to be more reserved in social situations. An introvert is going to be happier alone with a creative mind, and they're definitely going to prefer reflection to activity. But just like the extrovert, the introvert has flaws too. They lack confidence in relationships with people or with things. They have a tendency to be unsociable or shy, or even hesitant in social situations. Now, each psychological type is going to use its most developed function, thinking or feeling, and sensation or intuition. Thinking types give meaning and understanding, and their actions are a result of an intellectually considered motive. Feeling types, on the other hand, have the rational function that weighs and attaches proper value to situations. For these feeling types, truth is seen as an intersensibility. That feeling one gets has more to do with practical wisdom. Sensing types place emphasis on perception through the senses, and intuitive types perceive realities that are not known to the consciousness and which go on via the unconscious. Whew, that was a lot. Now let's talk about my final theory, the stages of development. This one's pretty straightforward. It deals with the mind's development over a lifetime, reaching a crescendo in middle to late life and decreasing afterwards. That middle age is really when all chances have either been taken or thrown away. During childhood, there's the archaic stage, which is characterized by sporadic cognition, and the monarchic stage, the beginning of logical and cognitive thinking, as well as the beginning of the development of the ego. From puberty through your 40s, you're maturing sexually, growing more conscious. And this is when you realize that the carefree days of childhood are gone. During middle life, you realize that you're not going to live forever. This creates tension. At this stage, you're more likely to think introvertedly or think philosophically. Finally, in old age, your consciousness is reduced and wisdom is acquired. So that's really a rundown of my major theories. I mentioned in there my one little experiment about word association and complexes, but I haven't really done much research outside of that. I'm mostly just more of a thinker, Thanks for checking out this episode. Make sure you check out Kohlberg's channel. Great guy, great research. Make sure you subscribe, comment, like, and ask me questions too. This whole episode was based on questions from you guys, what you guys wanted to know. And I think that's great. That fan interaction is what we're really looking for. So anyway, thanks again for tuning into this episode. Again, I'm Carl Jung, and I'll see you next time.